Welcome back to Versus Live. I'm Todd Anderson, of course, joined by Ross Merriam. Got Rob in the booth. If you have any questions for us along the broadcast, make sure to @ SCG Tour in the chat. And Rob is going to be picking his favorites and asking them to us when we have a bit of downtime. We've played 2 matches already. These are the matchups we were trying out from the top 8 of the most recent Mythic Championship. The matchups that we didn't get to see on camera. We had the first match between the Gruul Aggro deck facing down against the Esper Control deck. Esper Control deck victorious, I think, pretty decidingly. The games were it was 3-2, but I feel like I got a little lucky to win one of those games. Hitting that Direfleet Daredevil off the top to take care of the Lyra Dawnbringer was a huge swingy turn, and if I hadn't drawn exactly that, I was basically on empty facing the Lyra Dawnbringer.
And I had to rip the Lyra to get in that spot anyway, so that feels like easy come, easy go. True. But either way, that's a matchup that I think most people would expect red to be solidly ahead in. Usually red decks are pretty good against control. They were last season, but the added life gain and the mortifies to answer Experimental Frenzy make the Esper matchup a lot more difficult. And the discard spells and early removal. So I do think Esper is ahead there, and it showed. And then we saw a trouncing of mono blue aggro by Is It Phoenix.
Yeah.
That matchup not close at all.
No, I wanted to see a second game 1 pre-sideboard game just to see what would happen if I didn't have like the early Electromancer followed by like some Phoenixes, and my draw was pretty similar in the second game. I feel like maybe that's just your average draw, just puts a Phoenix on the battlefield around turn 4 or 5 while also being able to interact with your opponent, and I think that combination of things is just a little too much for the mono blue deck to handle. And now though, in our third and final match of the day, we're going to be pitting Autumn Burchett's mono blue deck against Simic Nexus.
Michael Bondi, Simic Nexus. Bondi was felled in the quarterfinals by Ikawa and his Esper deck, so didn't get to see a lot of him on the Sunday stage. But this is a matchup that got played out several times over the course of the tournament. 2 of the most popular decks in the room. I actually played this matchup from the mono blue side one time during the constructed rounds. I was able to take it down in 3. I got steamrolled in game 1.
That can happen. Dive downs aren't very good. Spell pierces can get bricked off. If you don't have the counterspell for the reclamation, your soft counters become worthless.
Yeah, I kept a hand of that counter spells, and my opponent killed me on their turn 4. They played 3 Wilderness Reclamations, and I didn't get a turn 4.
Oh.
Or maybe I was on the play and didn't get turn 5. I know they killed me on their
terrifying.
turn 4. It was rough. So they had a strong draw against a non-interactive draw
Growth
from my
Spiral
side.
into Reclamation Nexus into
Growth
Reclamation
Spiral into Escanta plus some 2-mana card like Root Snare or Blink of an Eye.
Sure.
And then turn 4 start doing things.
All right, well, we've talked enough today. Let's play some Magic. I feel like you need to win. You want to keep your marbles. It's going to be a really uphill battle for me. Let's go ahead and start it up.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Play.
This is a tricky matchup from the blue side because you're never exactly sure which spells are the key ones out of the Simic side, and you want to be able to use your spell pierces effectively, and you need to balance being able to hold up counters on the right turns with applying a lot of pressure. So it's a tricky one to play from the blue side, but it should be a favorite. This is a hand that applies a lot of pressure but doesn't have interaction. It needs to draw into it, but I have several draws to find it. And it's important to have it's easier to keep the pressure in your opening hand and find the interaction than it is the other way around.
Right, because if you sit and flounder, you give your opponent so much time, and if you're just trading counterspells back and forth and not really killing them, it's kind of the bane of all the Delver decks,
Yeah, so I will keep this one.
Yeah, I'm okay on mine. It's not particularly good, but... All right, well, we drew another ETB tapped land, so we'll just go ahead and play that. I don't really want to shock here to play an opt, so we're not. Finding Growth Spiral here would be pretty good, though, but a Curious Obsession here. This is not something we saw in the 4 games we played against Is It? So if that's what Ross has here, this could be really problematic for me.
You go to 18, draw a card. I'm going to go for it. I did not find interaction, so I'm just going to play a spell and hope there's no Blink of an Eye here.
Yeah. We don't currently have it.
Also, just to note, Autumn did say this was their one constructed loss in the tournament.
Wow. Okay. I mean, the matchup is certainly losable. I just don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
All right. That's really unfortunate. Your turn.
Okay, no green mana, but Todd could easily be holding the green mana and just playing his tapped lands here. That was a strong draw. I'll attack you for 3.
15.
15, I'll draw another card.
Now, this is me getting really punished here.
And now we'll play a Tempest Djinn. Really ratcheting up the pressure.
All right, we did draw the Blink of an Eye, but a little late. But we are going to shut that down and play a breeding pool and say go. Getting hit pretty hard
Attack
here.
for 5. 10.
10.
Pass.
I will pass.
Attack for 7.
I'll go to 3.
I will pass the turn.
I'll cast the Chemister's Insight.
Resolves.
All right, draw for turn.
Yep.
I'll play a Forest and say go.
On your end step, I'll play Morphic Trickster.
That resolves.
Go to my turn.
On your upkeep, I'm going to try to cast a Root Snare.
I will cast Wizard's Retort on that Root Snare.
I will. This is.
Targets me or a creature I control.
All right, I'll try a Sabotage.
I will show you another retort.
Wow, that was a good sequence of draws to not have any interaction.
Yeah, we drew a couple counter spells.
No, I mean the Curious Obsession buries me there, so that's
Yeah.
fair. So we were dead. We had another Root Snare, but we couldn't triple.
This card wasn't so good, but
No, it's not. Let's play one more pre-board game. These games are going to go pretty fast one way or another. I think Ross, if I get like the lock going and
we're going to concede pretty quickly here rather than watch you
let it drag on.
Yeah, watch the Nexus deck spin through its motions.
Because even if like I miss or whatever, that's not the relevant part. Like once I establish the lock, I'm like, or not the lock. I established the combo. I'm like 97% to go off or something. Like if I get Escanta, Wilderness Reclamation going, and you don't have a lethal attack on the next turn, like there's just very little reason not to just try another game, That's one thing people don't realize in testing a lot of times, especially for archetypes that are already established, is that you only really need to see how the first like 5 or 6 turns go in any given game of Magic. And if things like are pretty far south one way or another, if you don't have any sort of safety valves to pull you back in the game, the rest of the turns don't really matter. Especially if a deck takes as long to win as Nexus, And you might want a Goldfish Nexus to figure out the optimal sequencing or whatever. Like that game, I could have cast an Opt a lot earlier. Like I could have shocked on one in Breeding Pool, and I would actually found the blink of an eye on the right turn and maybe not have gotten buried there. So I'm going to keep this.
Same.
I just didn't want to take damage, especially on the draw.
I will play a Storm Tamer.
Opt. I have a precog, so I don't want a Chemister. We just want a bit of interaction / reclamation. Play a search in your turn.
Attack for 1.
19.
Pass the turn.
Now here we're just trying to flip Escanta as quickly as possible. So unless the top card's like a Growth Spiral or something, we're probably binning it. We just have like a healthy mix of lands and spells already. I don't mind if this gets hit with a Pierce, I don't think. We're mostly set up. We're just trying to, if we draw a Growth Spiral, we just want to play a different land. Bottom another Chemisters. Chemister and Escanta do not work that well together.
Let's play a Trickster.
So I already have the Escanta going. Just want to maximize the good cards.
Attack for 3.
16.
Play
Now,
a Terramander.
Sure.
Pass the turn.
Now it's possible that because on this turn I don't have a lot going on, I'm going to keep it. I should have kept, but your turn. Upkeep. Nah, go ahead.
Attack for 4.
All right, I'll try to blink with Kicker on the Storm Tamer. Let's force him into a spot where he can choose to just let it happen and then recast it. But
Yeah,
he can
I
just
think I'd
counter
rather
it, keep him
limit
drawing
the
a
total
card.
resources you have.
All right,
You go to 13.
I don't want to cast a Trickster because
Pass
he
the
can
turn.
just play it at instant speed. All right. Maybe that was stupid. I think I messed up. Too many Memorial to Genius. All right, I'm gonna go to 11.
Yep.
Say go on your upkeep. I cast a precog. Kind of trying to overload his mana a little if I can.
You have 2 in hand?
I have
3.
3.
That's going to be your 6th card.
Yep.
So Escanto probably coming off next turn. 3 cards in hand. At 6 mana, you are still 1 short of going Reclamation into Nexus of Fate.
Yeah,
So
but if I need land reclamation Nexus.
Yeah.
Do I need?
which is a lot. So I'm going to retort that.
Mhm.
Draw. Attack you for 3.
8.
Play an island and try to course and hope I don't die.
I don't have it yet, but we could get there. Transform Escanto. We need to draw reclamation, and then we're in pretty good shape. We didn't hit it. We didn't hit anything, actually. Sucks. I'm going to main phase, activate Escanto. Growth Spiral. I'm going to go ahead and cast it.
Yep.
And then land for turn and say go.
So 3 in hand still?
Yep.
That's actually pretty good. That lets us apply lethal for next turn and see another card. So I'm a fan. Attack you for 4. Brings you to 4. I'll draw a card.
I think that was quite a good draw.
And I will...
I'll probably check this game. If I keep the
Pass
blink
the
of an
turn.
eye, I don't have to shock myself. I can use that as kind of like a cycler on the Terramander / protection spell. And I don't know. Okay. Go.
On your end step, I will opt.
The problem is if he has retort, I don't know if I have any real way out of this. So I need to try to figure out if I do. So I can growth spiral. If I hit a land, I can nexus. I can chemister and try to draw a double root snare. Or I can just cast Nexus and hope that it resolves. All right. I think I just do this, but I'm pretty sure I lose. Yeah. Now, I mean, so if I do this, I don't hit a root snare and I died. Okay. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a tough spot there regardless.
Yeah. I agree. Nexus of Fate, not very good against Spell Pierce. All right, we're going to get sideboards settled here for the post-board games. If you have any questions for either of us, make sure to add SCG Tour in the chat. Rob's going to be picking his questions. He'll be asking them while we are sideboarding for game 2. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're here for sideboarding, and from the Simic Nexus side of things, I'm trying out Michael Bonde's big creature-based sideboard plan. Biogenic Ooze is a real curveball that a lot of these decks have been enacting out of the sideboard, and alongside Hydroid Krasis, it really gives you a nice different angle of attack that's not vulnerable to the likes of Spell Pierce and Negate. Atsukan Archer is particularly strong in this matchup. Not only can it fight an early creature from Ross, but it provides defense against a lot of his threats, even so far as a Tempest Gen if he only has 3 islands. So I like that card here in this matchup for multiple reasons. This is the matchup that this card is for. 2 copies of Crushing Canopy, double as a way to interact with Curious Possession or just take down one of his flyers. And then Incubation Druid, I'm kind of on the fence on. Ross seems to think it's quite good. I'm just going to board in all my creatures and use this as a mana ramp on the play. I think it's going to be good because he can't really kill it. And if the game ends up going long, that extra mana could help me play around things like Spell Pierce or double spell through Negate or Disdainful Stroke.
And if the game ends up going long, also, it just becomes a 3/5 and starts attacking.
True. The thing about what I'm citing out, the Nexus of Fates, they're just, I think, a little too vulnerable to Spell Pierce. We're also under the impression that it's such a good bait spell on his turn that I should be leaving it in. And maybe I might board in a Nezahal. I didn't think about that. Is that
I
good?
would not bring in Nezahal.
Okay. What about Druid of the Cow?
That one I'd probably bring in.
Okay. It's just another Incubation Druid.
Yeah, you just want to be like a ramp deck post board
Okay.
in matchups where they have a lot of like a lot of negates and stuff. You just become a creature based ramp deck.
All right. I'm going to cut a Chemisters for another ramp spell. I think it's a little worse than Precog, and I don't know if I have the time to just cast a bunch of card draw.
On my side, these negates should still be good. They counter Wilderness Reclamation. They still counter a lot of Todd's removal, so I think they're better than Dive Down. The Disdainful Stroke is great. Melody is good against specifically Hydroid Crisis, but not great against basically anything else Todd is bringing in, and I don't think that makes it worthwhile. Maybe I still want one. I am also trimming a Charted Course. This is not a matchup where you have a lot of time to use the mana for this card, so I had to tap out to cast it, and it was in my hand for a couple turns before I even found that window. So it's awkward to cast, so I'm trimming one and actually bringing in the 20th Island, because I want to be able to make land drops so it can apply maximum pressure while still leaving up interactive spells. So I think the 20th Island is also important here. You saw a lot of lists, including Reed Dukes, play that 20th Island in the main and only play one Charted Course because they were just so concerned with their mana efficiency. This is not a matchup where I really want the divination either. Like if the game goes long, Todd's cards are going to go way over the top of mine with Hydroid Crisis and
this is also not really an attrition battle. You want Charted Course when you're playing against decks with a lot of spot removal so that you can get that early attack in, Charted Course to draw an extra card. And in this particular matchup, I'm not really killing stuff. I'm trying to go like way over the top.
Yeah. You're trying to kill just enough that you can get the time to set up your more powerful effects.
Okay. All right. I kind of like this post-sideboard plan of just being a big ramp deck. This draw is quite good, so we're pretty happy with this one. A couple of questions while we're starting up here.
Yeah, we got some. Kurth Naga 2233. Given the performance of Mono Blue, how do you attack it? Is it more specific cards in decks, or is it a shift in strategy that's most important?
I think it's absolutely a shift in strategy. Though there are a few cards that I would deem as just like archetype killers. I think Niv Mizzet in particular is just almost unbeatable for the deck. They're literally playing Deep Freeze and Transmogrifying Wand as ways to deal with it because it's so good. Other than that, though, anything that says uncounterable is pretty good against them. But for the most part, you just need to make sure you have an abundance of interaction. And if you don't have an abundance of interaction, you're likely just going to get run over by a Curious Obsession or a pretty mid-game Tempest Gem.
I'm not even sure if that's the case. I think the best decks against Mono Blue are decks that ignore trying to interact with their creatures because that's playing into what the Mono Blue deck wants. Like you don't get more efficient than 1-mana creatures and 1-mana ways to protect those creatures.
Yep.
So unless you're really overloaded because that's your normal strategy and you have to be on that plan, then I think you're better off, if you really want to shift strategies, going to a deck that just floods the board of the creatures and ignores what the Mono Blue deck is doing. The white aggro decks are pretty good against Mono Blue. Red can be if it's built right. You want some modicum of interaction to make them think about it. And so when they tap out thinking, I need to stay even or ahead on board against what my opponent's doing, then you can punish them and answer their Tempest Djinn or their creature with Obsession on it. So you want some minimum amount of interaction. But if you go that like minimal plan, you saw the Izzet deck, it only has some Shocks and Lava Coils. It has a lot of ways to find them. But for the most part, Todd was stopping me by putting an Arclight Phoenix on the battlefield. And I just looked at my 4 creatures and I couldn't attack.
Yeah. It was less of a problem when it was Siren Storm Tamer and Mistcloaked Herald as the 2-drops, or as the 2 1-drops. And you use Curious Obsession with Mistcloaked Herald quite a bit, and you had that cheap chip damage. But Arclight Phoenix just sits in front of the Terramanders and it just looks real bad, honestly. So as far as that goes, I think it's more archetypal. But let's do a couple more before we get started.
All right. Do you think Sultai needs to adapt dramatically, or was the weak showing just a fluke?
So the weak showing was just their limited performances. There were, you said, 5 decks, 5 versions that went 8-2?
If you look at the top performing constructor decks, there's plenty of Sultai there, right around in line with where it was in the metagame. It had average numbers, but it's really difficult for a deck that is pacing the field at 20%, that high metagame density, to put up above average numbers, because you just have too many mirror matches that bring the distribution into the center. You have a lot of that was like the default choice for a lot of the weaker players in the field. That's going to bring down the numbers. I mean, Mono Blue was a deck that was maybe the 4th most played deck in the field, but a lot of great players were on it. You had Autumn Burchett, you had Reed Duke, you had Steve Rubin, Alex Hayne.
I think even Jacob Wilson played it too. Sam Pardee.
Sam Pardee played as a Phoenix.
Oh, you're right.
Not sure about Jacob, but like that's 4 off the top of my head. There's another person in top 8, Julian Berteau, very strong player. So you've got a lot of strong players in a lower. So as a percentage of like the strength of the people playing the deck, Mono Blue benefited a little bit from there, whereas I bet Sultai didn't. the top 16 list were posted, you'd see several there. Pete Ingram at 14th place, Andre Mengucci in 10th place. I know off the top of my head, and I'm not even sure if there are more. So maybe there's 3 or 4 Sultai decks in the top 16 that are right on the cusp. They just happen to not make it to the Sunday stage. And if it's a split format tournament, like how much can we draw from that? So I think Sultai is still a tier 1 deck moving forward.
Absolutely.
Doesn't have to do too much adapting. The addition of Crawl Harpooner is great against Mono Blue, and that was a big thing for it. So, just come prepared for the Mono Blue matchup. That's a tricky one to play, even with Harpooner.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible maybe you pair back a little bit on Wild Growth Walker because with Mono Red not really having great performances over the last few weeks, with Azorius Aggro maybe falling a little bit out of favor after this past weekend, Wild Growth Walker is only necessary when the aggressive matchups are prevalent. And if you can kind of stifle that life gain by just playing a little bit more cheap removal like Cast Down, and then just really riding the back of Hydroid Krasis as that main burst of life gain, maybe you go back down to like 2 Wild Growth Walker, board a third. Maybe even just 1 or 0, and then just board them for the aggressive matchups.
Yeah, that is definitely an option. Peter Glogowski played a list with only 1 Jadelight Ranger, none of the other Explorer creatures.
Mm-hmm.
He tweeted that he believes the Explorer package is firmly one of a bygone era. He called it deck building inertia. People just keep doing the same thing because that's what they've seen done.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes main deck Thief of Sanity and Thought Erasure in the Sultai deck. Still has Llanowar Elves. You can turn to that Thief.
Yeah,
that's another way you can go. Thief is great against Mono Blue. I'm not so sure about that. I think the Explore package is really good, but I do agree that Wild Growth Walker in particular is weak. And we saw last fall at various points in the metagame cycle, Wild Growth Walker was more of a sideboard card or just a bid player.
It wasn't great in the Golgari mirrors, just like it's not great in the Sultai mirrors. It regularly gets sideboarded out. And if you expect to play against Esper Control, mirror matches, even Mono Blue, the life gain is not that big of a deal. The big body attacking is actually more of a good reason. Because if they start snowballing with Curious Obsession and Tempest Gen, like a few points of life is not going to matter that much. And eventually they're just going to have like a good chump block on your big Wild Growth Walker, and then they're just going to turn the corner and hit you for 15 twice in a row, and you're dead.
Yeah. They can also trickster it with an Explore trigger on the stack to stop the life gain off Walker entirely. So that they definitely have options. You make it big and they can just melody it. Now suddenly they have a 4/6, 5/7 creature. Yeah. That's going to be tough. You gotta waste a Cast Down on that instead of killing their Obsession creature. So yeah, no, I can definitely see moving away from Wild Growth Walker as a next step for Sultai, but I don't think the deck is in any serious trouble.
Yep. How's your opener?
Real quick before we get to the match.
Yeah.
I would like to mention Autumn has said that they take out some Djinns here and they think you want all essence captures, especially on the play. Just thought I'd bring that up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll do that for the next game. We're going to play a couple of post sideboard games here.
I was thinking about trimming on Djinn because it's a card that's hard to resolve with interaction up. Yeah. But I also like that it's a card that attacks well into its Oaken Archer and into some of your things that you're bringing in. Yeah. So if we have to play that kind of game, I want some tools to do it. But maybe if you just have all the essence captures on the play, you don't really get into those spots very often.
Yeah, and essence capture, so the creature switcheroo sideboard plans are only as good as the opponent's awareness of them. And if I just tap out over the next couple turns for random creatures, I might just get absolutely obliterated by Ross, playing essence capture. So, all right. Go.
Attack for 1.
18.
Pass the turn.
I'll try to blink with kicker. Targeting Salamander. The is silent. Untap.
Upkeep. Trickster, tap this down.
Okay. Draw turn.
Yep.
Shock, Reclamation.
Spell Pierce.
Come on. Go. So it was aggressive, but if it worked, it was great. I'm at 16.
You're at 17 after the shock.
Should be at 16. You hit me twice with the Terminator.
Okay, I must have missed one. 16.
Fine.
Attack you down to 14.
Yep.
Play a Tempest Gem.
Okay.
You can go.
Reclamation.
Resolves.
Ooh, baby. Okay. Untap these and crush this.
Dive down.
Crap. Your turn.
It stinks. It stinks. I'll opt.
Sure.
Bottom that. Don't need another land. What did I say, deck? Opt again.
Yep.
I
I mean, these ops are letting you get close to Terramander.
I know. You got 2 cards in hand?
Yeah. The reclamations are not nearly as scary, though, when I don't have Nexus in my deck. I'll say that. So that's something to keep in mind. Like,
If Todd had another canopy or like other interaction, I think he would have used it that turn.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing there's a Hydroid Crisis coming next turn.
Maybe.
That would be my guess, and I'm not sure how good this is going to be against that Crisis. You're currently at 14.
Yep.
You're about to take 5. That'll get you to 9. I guess I will force a trade and blank interaction that you draw off of it. So that seems reasonable. So I think I'll keep it.
Yep. Block.
You figured it out. You're 9.
And that's why we play
Storm
one
Tamer.
Druid of the Cal over Incubation Druid.
Terramander.
Sure.
Yeah, pass the turn.
All right. Draw for turn. Memorial to Genius. I'm going to Archer the Terramander.
Let's Storm Tamer the ability.
Trigger on the stack of Reclamation Float 2. Draw 3.
It's pretty good.
Chemisters. Go. I'm still in not great shape.
Let's opt again.
I guess I probably should. Dang it. I'm going to cheat. I'm fine with this getting countered. I just need a blocker. I need to go like this or this.
Well, let's spin that off the opt. I don't think that's doing anything. Although I guess now that you have the Druid untapped, it could. I could like Obsession the Trickster and force a chump there, or yeah, because you're a 9, so it would force Druid to cowl with a chump block. But is that what I want out of this turn?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think I just want to find a counter spell. Like, you're going to be dead in the air next turn anyway. It does like give you like next turn you get to 7 mana. This is 8th mana, so you play Crisis for 6. I could force Crisis for 5 instead, which is a big difference when I have a Terramander.
That's true.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it and go for it, I guess. Session here, land here, adapt there, smash.
Okay, so this is 10?
Yep. But no, it's 11.
11, so I have to chump. So
Jump to 6,
Yep.
go to 4.
Yep. Now I'll Chemister.
Yep. So both your creatures die. You're at 4 life. You can go. Now even a Crisis doesn't look great. You'd go to 6.
I'm just dead.
You'd have to untap into another canopy.
Chemister. Breeding Pool Pitch. Draw 2. And we drew 3 Incubation Druid as our 3 draws. I'm dead. Okay. Radical sideboard changes incoming. Feel free to do whatever you're going to do. I'm going to think about some stuff while we take some questions.
I guess I'll try 3rd capture over a Djinn.
All right.
Because who am I to doubt the wisdom of a mythic champion?
Chap Oven was wondering, what do you guys think of the sideboard Jace? What matchups does it come in against?
I assume it's there almost entirely for control decks, where I think it is quite effective. It's a threat you get to play that doesn't die to Kaya's Wrath, which is always awkward when you're trying to apply pressure. It becomes a card that's normally a liability if you're just playing your threats 1 for 1. But here it's a threat that like lets you turn some extra lands that you might have into counter spells as you dig towards your relevant interaction, and then once it ultimates, you start making 2/2s. If you need creatures, you can make 2/2s initially. So those are the 2 things you want in that matchup are ways to dig through your deck and find the right pieces of interaction that you need, and then additional threats that don't expose you to removal and sweepers. And so it does both those things. I don't think it's particularly good in a matchup like this because it's not really applying any pressure to their life total, or not much at least. Like Autumn even said that she brings out Tempest Djinn because it's hard to find a spot to cleanly resolve a 3-mana spell. But against Esper, they're usually tapping out early to use their removal spells. and then you should be able to resolve it. Like, yeah, they have Contempt, but Contempt is an easy card for you to hit with Spell Pierce. Unfortunately, Contempt on Jace is not something you can hit with Siren Storm Tamer, but if you have enough Spell Pierces, you should be okay, and negates after sideboard too.
Next, what do you think about Frilled Mystic in the Simic Nexus deck instead of Sinister Sabotage? I know we'd seen it before, I think, in the original Ollie build.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I'm a fan of the Frilled Mystic. I think you can just steal some games in some spots. The 3 mana versus 4 mana is a really big deal on the draw, though. Sabotage being able to counter an opposing 4-drop or even a 5-drop if your opponent is ramping with the Llanowar Elves is pretty huge. But with Nexus of Fate, the body actually just becomes a relevant factor in a number of situations. So I personally like Frilled Mystic better, and it definitely goes along better in the sideboard plan with all the creatures. And on top of that, it doesn't get hit by negate, which is huge. So my hand's pretty sweet.
Same.
All right, go.
Island Mistcloaked Herald.
All right, I'm going to Growth Spiral main phase just to make sure it resolves. Play this tap and say go.
Attack for 1.
19.
Pass the turn.
Hey, Ross, you got a negate? I'm just casting it. Rats, go. I mean, I gotta do it. It's gonna get countered with a negate at some point. I mean, I could try to overload you, but nothing I'm gonna cast is gonna be that important here. So, go.
End of turn, Trickster.
It resolves. I'm gonna bounce draw it.
Attack for 1.
17.
Pass the turn.
He's stuck on 2, so we're at this point we're actually just gonna try to overload him. Yeah, whatever. You got Essence Capture?
Yep.
Tilt. Your turn. I could just not play into it, but it's sorcery speed. He has Essence Capture. He doesn't really have to do anything.
You're at 15.
Oh, I'm so stupid.
I mean, we already knew that.
No, just leave me alone. All right, I'm in a main phase of Chemisters.
Don't think there's much at 2 mana Todd could do here that's really would punish me for trying to counter this. I just have so much action in my hand. I don't want to get caught like not doing a whole lot. And if the more like raw cards Todd draws, the more land drops he makes, the more likely he gets a double spell.
Yep.
So I think I'm just gonna negate that.
Yep, your turn. Ross is correct. It's not really a bait spell. I do want it to resolve and draw some lands. But...
Brings you to 13. I'll play a Storm Tamer and pass. Now we can start deploying some more 1s. Still hold up interaction. Opt is fine.
Yeah, obviously. I messed this game up really bad. I could have actually just thought this only fought flyers. I could have fought the Mistcloaked Herald at some point. Or I could have baited with it and then I don't know. I played this game really poorly, but I guess I'll just try.
Oh, I've got another Essence Capture.
Weird. Autumn was right.
Right, I think I put the other counter there.
I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Trickster and 2 more counter spells, and eventually I play another Terramander.
We still got like 15 minutes. That was a quick game. I'm 0-4 in the matchup so far. I don't think I'm playing particularly smart, but I also don't feel like I have any amount of hope at any juncture.
Capture was certainly much better than Tempest Djinn would have been in that spot.
Yeah. I think the life gain and card draw is not going to be that relevant as compared to the body of something like Hydro Traces. And if the sideboard plan does include playing a big, the biogenic ooze, like Essence Capture just makes a lot of sense.
Got another question here from Kurth Naga.
What's up?
How important is next leveling a tournament? If you had the next standard weekend, would you look at playing mono blue, beating mono blue? Like, how important is that to you?
Not very.
Next level?
I think you just play good decks, and you. It's more important about the cards that you play in your deck to try to give you slight percentage points.
Yeah, you can also reframe how you think of what next leveling means. Just play a good deck and have like a slightly different sideboard plan, and you could be way ahead of people.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to always bring a completely different deck every time.
Yeah, knowing how to sideboard is actually just the easiest way to get a leg up in any tournament. Oh, wrong one. I'll take some more questions. I mean, we're just kind of playing fast and loose. So
It's the only way I know how.
19,
You can go.
if there are any, Robbie.
Looking for some.
All right, let's try. I'll say go. Upkeep. No.
End of turn, all trickster.
Sure.
Go to my turn.
I'm gonna canopy this.
Attack for 2.
Yep.
Jin.
What? How's that in your deck still? I thought you took them all out.
No, I got 1.
Okay. All right, buddy. I don't want to play anymore. All right, whatever. I don't want to play anymore. Look, I'm not going to get as salty as you did, but this matchup is not great. And the sideboard playing does not feel very good. I mean, it's possible that just when you know the deck lists and you've played the matchup, and you know the sideboard is going to contain those creatures, those essence captures are backbreaking to like a large extent. You know, I misplayed by just using Crushing Canopy. I didn't have to. I could have just cast an Archer. But if you go essence capture, put a counter on your Terran, let's play again. We got time. Whatever. No, there aren't any questions apparently.
Well, I do have one.
All right, hit me.
Given that we saw a Mardu deck perform at the Pro Tour, do you think that could be a bigger part of the metagame? No?
No.
Talk about salty. I'm still salty about that one.
You just beat me like 4 in a row or 5 in a row.
I lost to that Mardu deck. In round,
that one. Okay,
in round 7. Some fortunate draws at the end of game 3. Though they played very well to put themselves in that position. I'll give them that much credit, but it was back-to-back untapped lands when they were stuck on 3 for a turn. If they had drawn shock lands, they would have been dead. Ended too short. I had drew the Spell Pierce to turn too late for their binding, and then the land to turn too late that would have killed them by adapting Terramander. But instead, I drew it after they played the Lyra, and it was
tough beats, Ross.
It was rough.
How's that? How's your $1,500 in qualification for the next Pro Tour going?
Haven't gotten the $1,500 yet, so
know, at least it will take only just a few weeks instead of a few months.
It'll be less than a week. It should be here by Friday.
Oh, hey, you're rich.
And it'll be $2,100 with the travel award.
Ooh, are you gonna take me out to dinner this weekend? Old dinosaur barbecue action in Syracuse.
That's a rough go for the vegetarian.
No, just get sides.
Or a lot of the sides are like collard greens, often braised in bacon fat.
Yeah, but you can get macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, I'm going to be going to Possibilities.
I'll go there too. I'll take a free dinner from Possibilities.
We can go to Empire Brewing Company. But the last time I went there, it wasn't as good. I was disappointed.
Yeah, I went there too. It was not good.
First few times I went there was great. You got to get the like Cajun trio dish they have. It's awesome. It's just not vegetarian, so
yeah.
The blue cornbread is still awesome. If you go there and don't get the cornbread, whew, you are doing it wrong. But the coffee beer they have is also insane. The Daily Grind.
All right, come on. We got 12 minutes to play one more game. Get your questions in now. We're gonna be hitting them fast and furious at the juncture. Your turn.
Go. And step. Trickster.
Spiral.
Tannen says he would like you to take him out to dinner too, Ross.
Ooh.
Okay.
I mean, you are rich now, so.
Session, attack, draw a card. You can go. You're at 17.
Your turn. Upkeep. Spiral.
Resolves.
Blink with kicker on the trickster.
Spell Pierce.
Sure. Your turn. I could have not kickered it.
Session, attack for 4.
And you have the land.
Draw 2. You're at 13. You can go.
You have a retort too. Go. Upkeep. Nexus.
2 in hand?
Yep.
Okay, I'll counter that.
Yep.
Like, I think he's going to resolve a spell if I let it resolve. But maybe with only 2 cards in hand, you wouldn't. I'm also drawing a bunch of cards here on this turn.
Yep.
Because I have a third obsession.
This matchup feels so
you
bad.
8, I draw 3.
Good God.
You can go.
Autumn, did you just mulligan to 0? What happened? All right. Go. I'm gonna go
Draw.
ahead. I'm just gonna make you move to discard, baby.
Attack for 5.
Yeah.
You're at 3. I draw 3.
Sure.
Go to discard.
Pop this.
Sure.
What's that?
This is my hand. When I retorted on upkeep, didn't have another counter spell, I just drew retort immediately again. It's like, okay.
Look, you're just making up for all the carries in session you didn't draw over the course of the last 2 matches. Because we played, 9 games of, maybe 10 games of, and you did not play very many curious sessions.
Yeah.
So.
Welcome to my life playing this deck. I win all the scrappy games.
That's what you're doing? Okay. You just won like 5 or 6 games in a row, okay?
Yeah.
Look, he's happy now. That's why he's smiling. Look, you got to keep your marbles.
I mean, we knew I was winning this matchup, let's be honest.
Yeah, I know. Which is why I was so dumbfounded at how salty you were all video.
I don't like getting one outed, okay?
It's all the Darfleet Daredevil. The whole thing just ruined Ross for like an hour and a half.
I've been one outed too many times in my life. I don't like it.
Yeah. So if we have any questions, Rob, we'll take them now, I suppose. If we don't have any questions, I'm going home. So.
Not really.
Great. All right. This weekend, SCG Syracuse.
Who's doing commentary on that, Todd?
I'm doing commentary
That's
along
awesome.
with, I believe it's Matthias, Emma, and me and Ryan. Don't
turf.
quote me on that. But
That's correct.
I'm pretty sure Cedric is not there.
Cedric is in Boston this weekend.
Yeah, for birthday
For
stuff.
his birthday, yeah.
We will have more Versus Live on Thursday. We're actually going to be diving into Legacy, give you kind of a showcase of 6 different decks that could show up on the Legacy stage. I'm sure Ross will take the time to really try to help figure out his deck choice. I know I'm going to be bringing at least one of the decks I'm playing is going to be Grixis Arclight Phoenix. And I'm going to be writing about that in my article that I write today that should be going up Thursday. So make sure you check that out before the Versus Live is live at 1 p.m.
Article will be live at 11 a.m. Eastern, so you got a nice 2-hour window to finish that article, then come over, see the deck in action.
What are you writing about this week?
My article went up today. It was just a reflection on my Pro Tour and looking back on last week's article I wrote was my sort of predictions of the metagame, where I thought each deck stood of the top decks. So I evaluate there, see what I got right, what I got wrong, and it's sort of a reflective article on my weekend in Cleveland. Which ended pretty well because I'm going to be back there in London, and now I got to figure out if I want to start flying to Grand Prix again. So
Yeah.
that's a fun decision
Have fun.
to make. Yeah,
Have fun getting on planes and stuff.
yeah. I'm already like halfway to gold status, I think, on American. So maybe I'll hit gold, and maybe I'll start getting some of these fancy upgrades that people keep talking about.
Yeah.
Because that's sure as
Well,
sugar
you
has
don't-
not happened to me.
You don't like being a sardine in a little sardine can stuffed in between.
I actually like the small planes that come out of Roanoke because they have that one row that's just lone seats.
Yeah, you're 33% to be not next to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, those except that they never have overhead space, so they always have to plane side check your bag, and then I always
This is not relevant information
Yeah.
to these people. Okay, we need to close it out. There. Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate y'all watching Versus Live. We're gonna be back Thursday at 1 p.m. We have
have to do our
subs here.
Yeah,
Yep,
we
give
got
'em
we got
shout
a bunch, and I think the last one you're gonna love, Todd.
Okay.
You're gonna love
If
this
it's
name.
Loopy Goopers again,
It is not.
Okay.
Velishan Wow, Boris Dunks,
Thank you.
Cody John 992, Stuntman Mike 1117, Mock Barishan, Play 89, and Guy Fieryball. So thank you to all of our subs.
That's
That's a lot of subs for today. Thank you to all
Yeah,
of you.
and I just want to say we appreciate it a lot. Even though Ross and I don't directly benefit from those subs, it does go to making the channel better, making Versus Live better. We get to pay the graphic designers, which make the cool things we tweet out, the decklist things, emotes, and we got a couple of sweet new emotes. Y'all should definitely check them out. We got there's one where's Andrew Jessup doing he has the little biggie crown like from his token. That one's super cool. We got one for me. It's just Roll Tide. It's just me laughing up a storm. I think we have one for you too.
We had one, and you put me on the spot last episode, and I couldn't remember what it was, and I still don't know.
Rob, can you just like You have emotes, right? Can you just see which
I
one
don't
is
think
Ross?
we have that one on.
Oh
right now.
no.
Oh, that
Okay.
one's not on yet.
It's
It's
a
probably
coming
coming
one.
soon. It better just be Ross like head and hands. If it's not, I'm gonna be sad because like that's just so iconic. Just sad Ross.
We might have maybe we'll do one of the Banefire topic.
Maybe. Although
Yeah.
that one, if they steal my idea that I'm gonna put on my channel, I'm gonna be pretty upset.
Be
about it.
the Todd Knock emote.
Yeah. Anywho, that's going to be all for me and Ross today. Thanks for watching. Rob, thanks for helping make everything run smoothly. And thank you at home for being here. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time, Thursday, 1 p.m.